Evil Superman is definitely a selfish lovemaker.
Hello, and welcome to Kicking Trees, Canada's premier comic book podcast. Today, we're continuing our series of reviewing all the Superman movies and ranking them. This time, we're discussing Superman 3, critically panned. Did you enjoy it?
I did not.
You agree with the critics, then, I see.
I do.
In
this case, I do.
I also did not enjoy it.
I can't imagine someone enjoying it. Honestly, I can't imagine someone actually liking this film.
There are things that I find fascinating about it, which redeems it slightly from just being an abysmal viewing experience.
Not only abysmal viewing experience, like it's a bad story to have told. Like it's just bad writing.
It definitely has too much Richard Pryor, which I think was a common criticism at the time.
That's the main guy?
The main guy. See, that's the problem. Did you know who Richard Pryor was before watching this?
No, I didn't. I've only heard his name. I didn't know that they were the same person until you said Richard Pryor right now.
Okay. I only know him from a documentary on his life that I watched, but I've never seen any of his movies. I don't know.
Oh, so you know him on more of a personal level.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know why I saw that documentary, but I did.
It's strange, but yeah, okay.
So he basically got cast because he said he liked the second one in some interview. It's what I've read.
So they make him the star?
He is in so much.
He is. I didn't time it or anything, but he might be in it more than Superman.
I had to Google that because I was very much wondering. And no, Superman is in it more.
Did they have the two different times of screen time?
Yeah, Superman had like 13 minutes more or something.
Oh my. Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah, there is more Superman in Superman 3 than Richard Pryor, believe it or not.
By 13 minutes.
And he is a funny guy.
Yeah, there were some scenes where I was like, okay, no, I could be won over by this guy, but then there's just too much of him in a Superman film.
They write him boring as well, more often than not.
Yeah, like some scenes he got to be more fun and everything, and I was like, okay, I like him, but then they just had such boring scenes with him after.
I'm going to jump ahead in my notes, just when I was researching this movie. His role was originally supposed to be Brainiac.
I was thinking that because of the tech stuff they were doing, I was thinking, like, why didn't they just use Brainiac?
Because he's just a savant at the computer.
And then in the end, it gets pretty Brainiac-y.
With the computer taking over the sister.
Yeah.
Verna, I think.
And then when
that was kind of terrifying, wasn't it?
The technology tentacles and stuff.
Yeah. When they're slapping on all the Borg pieces onto her. Wasn't that pretty scary?
I guess it was, but I was just so underwhelmed by the whole movie.
Wow.
When I got to that point, I didn't care.
And then also from my notes, Verna, they make several jokes about her being ugly.
Yeah, I know.
She's just a normal looking woman. She's not ugly at all.
Yeah, when Lois said, no, that's just what she looks like at the start, I was expecting a hideous woman, and then I was like, is that her? Is that who they were talking about? This normal looking woman?
They didn't even give her like any comical piece that they would have back then, like a giant mole or something.
Yeah, I'd be horribly offended if I was that actress.
I would too.
Yeah.
Just a normal looking woman.
Yeah.
They were insistent that she was hideous.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for her.
Another thing that points to Richard Pryor being Brainiac or being some level superhuman is when he skis off the top of a skyscraper.
I thought that was strange as well. And I thought that was them. I was like, was that just a dumb thing they were doing? And I was like, no, they must be building up to like he has some sort of abilities.
He's clearly superhuman here.
But no.
No, they don't follow up on that at all.
He's just a man who skied off of a high building. Skyscraper high building.
Landed on his feet. He was okay.
Yeah, because he had skis on.
Also, having a ski slope on the top of a skyscraper, as a billionaire even, that's insane.
It is insane. Also, the hill he was skiing down was tiny. Like, that's not even a fun ski hill.
Why bother at that point? They have mountains somewhere. He can just
helicopter to a mountain.
I like how the opening credits are presented this time as some slapstick comedy going on around the city.
Were quite fun.
Yeah.
It was like Final Destination.
It was. And there's that blind man walking around and
then he grabs the construction machine.
He can't tell the difference between the construction machine and his dog, apparently.
And then that guy starts drowning inside of his car.
Yeah, and the Superman saves him and stuff.
I was having fun with that.
I was too.
There was a lot more that went into all the accidents, but I was having fun with it. I just can't remember what else happened.
This one at the beginning has full phone booths, I noticed.
I was thinking that too. Like, did they make a comeback at some point in time?
Well, tell us the real world history and lore of phone booths.
Yes.
We're dying to know.
Because 2 movies ago they were non-existent.
They were a joke.
Yeah.
Being non-existent. Now they exist now. So what's up with that? Let us know, you fogies.
Maybe it was hip like vinyl.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something there.
Perhaps.
Other thing of note is Margot Kidder got the famous "and" in the opening credits.
Notice that as well.
And that's a big deal in the acting world, I've been told. But then she's only in like 5 minutes of this movie.
The beginning and the end.
Mhm.
Like very beginning and very end.
How concerned were you when she said she's going on this trip to the Bermuda
Like concerned for her life or for the rest of the movie?
for the rest of the movie?
I was concerned because I thought, oh, there she goes.
Yeah.
That's about it for her.
Yeah, I have a note specifically about that. And I was like, oh no. Is she going to return?
And she didn't.
No, she did not. When there's chaos on the streets, I thought Superman changing in that little photo booth was cute.
I took a note on that too. That was awesome. And then he, like in the photo booth line of pictures, he was looking at the camera
Yeah.
changing. Yeah.
That was just, it's silly, but it was cute.
Yeah.
And he gives it to the kid
Yeah.
because it's cute.
Rips off the Clark pictures.
I have note here. Jimmy Olsen is a horn dog this time.
Yeah.
Because when he went to go take those pictures, he was only taking pictures of the blonde woman.
Is that true?
That's what they say at the beginning.
Oh.
And then Perry brings up, you only have one picture of Vernon. It's
oh,
fuzzy.
yeah. Yeah, what a pervert.
That's Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah. I did like that he was on the adventure at the start of the movie.
I did too.
He actually got something to do.
I was hoping that since Margot Kidder wasn't in the entirety of this one, that maybe Jimmy Olsen would
I was
be in it
thinking
more.
that exact thing. I was like, okay, no, this might be fine if he has Jimmy as a side character, but no, that was it for him as well.
Yeah, he dips out, breaks a leg, dips out.
And then that fire was sort of fun, I guess.
I like how he froze a lake and picked up the lake.
I liked that as well, but why didn't he just freeze breath the fire itself?
Well, I don't know.
I was wondering, like, does this Superman not have freeze breath? And then
Well,
he
he
used
froze
it on
a
the
lake.
water. I was like, okay, I guess so. And when he made that metal slide for those people to slide down, they burned most of their skin off on the way down. That metal had to be completely hot, boiling hot.
Did not consider that, but you're correct.
We're in a
Yeah.
fire slide down this hunk of metal.
Yeah, they got boiled in there.
Yeah, they weren't
It's
okay. He could have
unfortunate.
picked them up. And then after that, I think was the dance or the reunion, the high school reunion.
Which I did like him going to his high school reunion, but I am also so confident he did not graduate in Superman 1. Now,
You
if-
have to graduate to show up to your reunion.
that's what I was sort of wondering.
Who's going to stop you if you're
I
such
guess.
a nice guy like Clark Kent?
I guess.
Like, he's not a
No,
delinquent.
they had a picture of Clark saying class of 65.
Well, maybe that was like his grade 11 year.
Oh.
He wasn't in a grad cap or anything. It was just one of the years he was there.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this.
Or it was fraudulent. Yeah.
Oh, no. A super crime?
Yeah. He fake graduated.
He has the ability.
I guess so, yeah.
He probably time traveled, actually.
And then did all of his
Yeah.
work and handed it in.
There we go.
That's how it happened.
I like that Lana is back in this one.
That's what I have here. It's fun having Lana around. And it was kind of fun how it had been so long without her and they bring her back. They don't just forget about her.
And I read that happened because they felt that Lois's story with Superman was completed in Superman 2, and they didn't have new places to go with her, which they
If they didn't do that dumb amnesia kiss, it could have continued.
Yeah, but the way they did do that dumb amnesia kiss, they did kind of cut it off there.
Yeah, they did fuck her over a bit.
'Cause this one could have been Superman gets married. Now, in this one, Lana just offhandedly mentions that Ma Kent died.
I was wondering about that as well.
Why didn't they show that?
Okay, I was thinking, did it happen in another movie? And I didn't remember, but that didn't happen.
No,
Okay, yeah, that was weird.
that would have been an easier way to bring him back to Smallville and say the reunion's happening at the same time as the funeral, instead of having him be writing a story for the planet about his reunion.
Yeah. Did they just want her to be dead because they never show him visiting? And they're like, he seems like a bad son.
I guess, but showing him be sad about that would have just been good movie content. So
yeah,
it's
it would
weird.
have been. It was a weird thing to gloss over.
Mhm. 'Cause
Yeah.
then, by Lana saying that, she also mentions that that's the last time she saw him. So this isn't even his first time back to Smallville since.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see the first time he sees Lana again as
Mhm.
well.
But no,
Also, was it the same people making this movie as the first two?
No.
Okay.
this
so
one
that
had a
makes-
different director and writer. So the writers of the first two, the first draft writers of the first two, I think are maybe the same. I didn't fully check this, but then Richard Donner did heavy rewrites with his friend. That is definitely visible in the final cut.
Yeah. And then this third one is, yeah.
That's
Okay,
why
that
this
makes
one-
a lot of sense.
So this one has more slapstick in it as well.
Yeah, the dance with Lana, I felt could have been a little longer. I would have liked to see them talk a bit more than they did because they just kind of met up at the dance,
Oh,
saw that jerk from high school, and then it
They're
ended.
cleaning up.
Yeah,
And then the pictures on the wall, they say that Clark was class of 65, and then he spends 12 years in the learning pod, which brings us to 77, and then Superman, the first one, takes place in 78. So they did a good job with those timelines,
that
actually.
is good. I didn't even think to check that out. That is a good sign by them.
They remembered the freaking learning pod
Yeah.
timeline. How
Yeah,
long he
that
was
would have
in
been
there.
easy to forget.
Yeah. So that was just a single line. I like how Lana She loves Clark, which is a nice reversal of Lois. She loves Superman.
You have no idea. That's my very last note right there.
That's your last note? You didn't write anything after that?
Well, because I was waiting. I was like, is she going to fall in love with Superman more once she's like helping his son out and everything? I was like, it's going to happen again. And I'm going to feel bad for Clark
But then
Kent.
it doesn't happen.
No, when he's like, are you cool having dinner with me, Clark Kent, instead of Superman at the end? And she's excited. I was like, that's actually much better.
She prefers Clark.
Yeah.
Less toxic than Lois.
Yeah. She would definitely be a better partner.
For sure.
Yeah. And then in the middle here, it wasn't related to what was happening. I was just like, it's just really weird not having Lois or Lex around. Like, they were the main trio of the first two.
They were. And then that new businessman was very much a Diet Coke Lex.
Yeah. What's with that? Just have
He's-
Lex.
I'm sure there was something with Gene Hackman not wanting to return.
There must have
probably.
been.
But then he's in the fourth one. I don't know.
I was also wondering if that was what was going on with Margot Kidder, but you said they were just done with her story.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was what they said, but maybe they couldn't get her for the whole thing.
Also, it's completely their fault that they were done with her story.
Because they messed up the ending of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That bothers me.
And then Lana's son, Ricky, he sucks at everything.
And also, they don't mention his dad, like who his dad is.
Did they even say if he died or did he just leave them?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
She's just like, yeah, he doesn't have a father.
And that makes him suck at everything. He can't bowl.
Yeah.
He spills his food over onto the ground at the end.
Yeah, Lana's really making herself look horrible.
He knocks himself out in a field.
Yeah, she can't teach him a single thing in life.
He doesn't have any skills.
Yeah.
He just sucks.
Without the dad, what's he going to learn?
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
He only has a mom. He's screwed in life.
yeah.
I like how that bully guy mentions that Clark was the water boy. Again, just good continuity
That
there.
was nice. And I thought it was funny when he was like, I was bowling champ 2 years in a row, I'll have you know. To Clark, like it was just the most amazing thing ever.
So that's very much sad small town America stuff.
Yeah, I liked it. And I also have these bad guys are just not as fun as any of the other ones that we've seen so far, which you kind of said with the Diet Coke version of Lex. And yeah, and you can't follow Zod and his two people with these random rich people.
And Richard Pryor.
And Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
That's just not how you do it.
No. And then they have that weather monitor that also alters the weather, which I'm like, sure,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense, but it's just a minor thing that I got a little hung up on.
because like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is this their plot?
Also, they went into that weather plan for so long, like they spent so long planning that idea out and everything and executing it, and Superman stops it off camera.
With Richard Pryor narrating what happened.
Why we waste so much time
I don't
planning
know.
that weather thing out?
That was odd. 38 minutes into the movie, Clark is now a full stepdad to Ricky, basically, because he lives life in the fast lane, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the super stepdad.
Well, he had sex once and then never again. He's probably super horny again.
But then he has sex again in this movie
Yes,
as
he does.
evil Superman.
Because of how horny he was.
It probably.
He got a taste and then nothing more.
He made a giant oil spill because he was that horny.
Yeah.
He did an oil spill in return for sexual favors.
That is very true.
That's
yeah.
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He has sex with the bad guy's wife. What did you think of that?
I thought that was really weird. Are we skipping anything? That seems
Yeah,
like
we're
it was-
skipping a lot.
We'll get to that. But also, throughout the movie, it was like nothing is happening right now.
Yeah.
There was a lot of nothing scenes. Oh, they made the kryptonite first.
And I like when Clark is being a stepdad that he accessorizes by wrapping his high school sweater around his neck.
Yeah.
I thought
I liked that too.
that was just funny.
That was stepdad vibes.
It was.
Yeah.
And then I also have a note here that just says, I want a Clark Kent romance film.
Yes! Those are the best parts of the movie.
That's all I wanted
Yeah, that would be so much
from this
better.
one. And then my follow-up note is, how is this movie 2 hours?
Oh my, it was,
It was
way
too
too
long.
long. I was about an hour and 10 minutes in, and I had to pause it to check how much longer it was. Because I was like, we have to be close to the end. There was 50 more minutes, and I got sad.
Like, were they not allowed to make it an hour and a half?
Yeah, they all at least get to 2 hours.
Yeah, they do.
But it worked a lot better in the first two.
And then right in the middle, there's a full 15 minutes of just Richard Pryor shenanigans. No Superman.
Which shenanigans were those?
That's when he is in Smallville and then hacks that computer and makes...
With the alcohol?
makes the bully drink until he passes out and stuff.
That's right. Well, the alcohol speech he had was actually, I thought that was kind of fun. He was a little funny during that whole little speech he had to get in, but then the rest of that was really boring.
Yeah, because they had that physical comedy of there's 2 keys, you have to use them both at once. He's trying to use his foot. Stupid.
Yeah.
Does not hold up.
No. And then that's when he made the kryptonite after that
Yes.
and put tar in it.
Yeah, Clark returns to the Daily Planet and is just so happy that someone actually likes him.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then he pimps Superman out for child birthday parties.
Oh, right. Yeah, and then Smallville celebrates Superman coming.
Yeah.
As an entire town.
So yeah, Lana just calls Clark and asks if Superman's available to come to Ricky's birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
And Clark is so down bad that he lowers Superman to that level.
He doesn't even think about it either.
He doesn't.
He's like, Superman will be there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Superman is too busy to come to children's birthday parties.
3 people probably died while he did that.
Probably. That sort of comes up in the movie at one point when he's evil Superman.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm going to spend 10 more seconds with you, Lana. And then someone dies. That's
He wanted to spend a lot longer with her. You're skipping ahead again, though.
I am skipping ahead. I like the idea of them trying to make kryptonite. I would have appreciated it if it was a different color, though.
I have that exact note right here as well.
Because the different colors of kryptonite were part of the lore at this point.
Yeah, and if it just does a different thing to him, make it a different color. That's how it goes. I was thinking that as well, and he added a different ingredient, so it could be a different color.
Could have been black kryptonite. He added tar.
Yeah.
And black kryptonite, it does... I think that's a newer kryptonite. It does make you evil.
Really?
Yeah. That's what happened in Supergirl by Jeff Loeb. Horrible series.
I've seen pictures of evil Supergirl. It's kind of crazy that kryptonite is made of mostly known things to us, and then it's like 0.5% unknown material.
Yeah. Not very imaginative.
No.
No. And then the fake kryptonite, for those at home that haven't seen this film, it makes Superman into a super dick.
Yeah, he slowly gets eviler and eviler.
Just like in Spider-Man 3.
Yes, actually.
So Superman 2 had Superman lose his powers momentarily, and then Spider-Man 2 did that same thing. Superman 3 has Superman become evil momentarily, kind of like an emo Superman, and Spider-Man 3 did the same thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Definitely, I think, on purpose.
Yeah.
On Sam Raimi's part.
But why would Sam Raimi still follow the themes when Superman 3 was so horrible?
I have no idea. And then just another similarity, this one introduces a new love interest, or reintroduces Lana Lang, but still new love interest in the form of Lana Lang, and Spider-Man 3 did that with Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Just so many parallels.
Yeah. And then as he was getting more and more evil, his costume got darker and darker.
I noticed that too.
And actually,
and his hair got a bit gray.
Yeah. And when his costume got darker, it was like the same colors as Henry Cavill Superman's costume.
It was.
Yeah.
Wow. And he became more forward with sexual advances on Lana with
He
Ricky
did.
just in the other room.
He did, while people were dying.
Yeah.
Wild man.
Nice. Very evil.
Evil man.
Very evil.
And then that's when someone did die.
Yeah. And they were confirmed dead.
Yeah, and he brushed it off.
He did. And then I also like that he straightens the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Because just why?
Yeah.
Just for some super dickery. But why the Leaning Tower of Pisa? I don't know. Just for that quick sight gag with the guy selling
was weird.
statues.
I didn't know why he was doing that. Why does evil Superman care?
Yeah. You would think he would keep it local, but no, he's a worldwide threat.
Local and one other place, Pisa.
Yeah. And then him snuffing out the Olympic flame,
Yeah.
Olympic torch. That's pretty funny. His dickery was funny because it was just no benefit crimes.
Yeah. Also, there was no Fortress of Solitude,
Oh, yeah.
which I'm fine with in general for Superman, but they used it so much in the first two
They probably
movies.
disassembled that set and didn't want to reassemble it or lost it.
Yeah, maybe. That could be it.
That's the cynicism in me.
Yeah,
But I feel I'm right.
you probably are.
I also like the quick joke that, so throughout the movie, the bad businessman, he has his wife. I think she's his wife. I don't actually know. They're married. And she's dumb the whole movie. And then in the last quarter, it's revealed she's a genius.
Yeah,
But only in jokes. It's not relevant ever. It's just a little joke they have.
an odd thing to add in as well.
Which, when they first did it, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
They come into the apartment. She's reading this philosophy novel by Kant, and then she says something about it, and she hears them coming in. She's like, "Ah!" She throws away the book, picks up a magazine, and then starts speaking in a different voice.
and that's the woman that evil Superman has sex with.
Now, evil Superman is still Superman for all intents and purposes, but not to Clark, not to Superman. And then that's when he, as evil Superman, this blonde woman, she goes on the top of the Statue of Liberty, which I thought was weird. There's a lot of Statue of Liberty, Twin Towers in this one.
Yeah.
So Metropolis is just straight up New York. New York does not exist in this world. But then she goes up there, waits for Superman, and propositions him for sex in exchange for him causing an oil spill in the ocean.
And he's down.
He is. He goes and does it. He's like, yeah, I'll do that, sure. And then they actually have sex.
Yeah.
They do a fade to black. I thought they would not do. I thought they'd wimp out on that, but no.
And then later on, she's in love with him for it.
Which was pretty funny.
It was funny, but also, I think, unrealistic because evil Superman is definitely a selfish lovemaker.
You're onto something there.
Yeah.
You are.
That was my main issue with
Yeah.
that. There's no way that was good for her.
No, the scene was still funny, though.
It was still funny.
He's like, I don't know who you are, lady. She's like, well, what about last night? And he's like, that was someone else. Wow.
Hi, honey.
I don't know you, lady.
But the other night.
I'm sorry, but that wasn't me.
Way to deal with it.
Just right out of the player's handbook
Yeah.
right there. And,
I wasn't myself that night.
yeah. Wow, Superman. Okay.
And then I think it goes to Superman or Clark Kent climbing out of Superman's body.
Superman gets drunk in a bar as he does, and then flies off to a junkyard, and Clark Kent emerges from Superman's body, and they duke it out. Do you think Clark Kent actually emerged from Superman's body, or that it was more like a mental fight? And that's how they were
I didn't
displaying it.
consider it being a mental fight.
So you think that physically happened?
I don't know because my main issue with that fight was, well, first of all, it was stupid and horrible. But also, they kept on doing things to defeat the other that they know won't stop Superman.
Because they both are Superman.
Yeah, and like Clark tried to stop Superman by wrapping him in tires.
Yeah, that was weird.
And Clark Kent was like, oh yeah, problem solved, and Superman just rips the tires in half.
Is that we're not super tires.
Yeah. Also, Superman put Clark Kent in like the.
Maybe if they were winter tires.
Then that's a different
Yeah.
story, but they were not winter tires. And then he puts them in like a garbage crushing machine, and he's like, okay, Clark Kent's taken care of. That won't stop Superman. They both know that.
Yeah.
And Clark Kent just breaks out, as he should.
So that leans towards it being a mental fight,
That would
maybe.
be a mental fight, I think, because how does Clark Kent defeat him? He chokes him out.
Is that how he did it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he grabs him by the neck, chokes him out, and then he disappears. So it definitely was a mental fight.
But maybe only one could exist.
Yeah, so it was a physical fight, and then once one is defeated,
he
they disappear.
reabsorbed him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it too. What?
It was nonsense.
It was absolute nonsense.
Yeah, they clearly wanted an action sequence in the climax, but didn't know what to do
Yeah, and
or how to resolve evil Superman.
yeah, I couldn't even believe. I was thinking, like, who thought of this? Like, how does someone think of this and be like, yeah, let's do this?
Like, this sounds great.
Yeah, but also Christopher Reeve, I thought, was still doing some good acting as both evil Superman and Clark.
Oh,
Kent.
he was a delight. And
Yeah.
easily still, but
He did very well with what he was given.
he was.
Yeah.
They didn't use him a ton.
No.
Yeah. So then he gets rid of evil Superman. He's good Superman again. For the final battle, he goes to the Grand Canyon or something. I don't know. And then they shoot a bunch of missiles at him, and I liked the missile controls little video game.
That was
I thought
fun.
That was fun and silly. And then the supercomputer throws this bubble at him and traps him in this bubble.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know what that was, but
That wasn't like technology.
I was like, someplace Non from Superman 2 is thinking that'll show him. I'll show him what it's like because Non got trapped in the S bubble.
Yeah, which was also nonsense.
Yeah,
They love those bubbles.
They do. And then the computer borging the sister, I thought was pretty scary. And when she was bored, she looked like Danger from Astonishing
I
X-Men.
thought that too. A lot like Danger. Danger might have been based a little bit off of that.
I was sort of thinking maybe.
Yeah.
And then Superman, there's a laser that the computer shoots at Superman, and his reflector hand is back.
Yeah, I noticed that it was the same power.
Yeah.
Yeah, same
So,
nonsense power.
It's a nonsense power, but at least they're consistent with it.
Yeah, he didn't just develop a new power out of nowhere
Yeah.
or anything.
And then that's the last I have for the final climax battle.
Well, I thought it was a very reckless way of dealing with that situation. Because at the start of the movie, that scientist says that the acid will turn into an acid gas and take out like half the country or something, he said.
There was a whole room of it.
But it didn't even turn into a gas. But if it did turn into a gas, he doesn't know where that gas is going. And also there was humans inside of that where he caused an explosion while he was getting taken down by the
Right.
technology. He's an irresponsible guy.
Irresponsible Superman.
Yeah.
Like, he got rid of the supercomputer.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then, so Richard Pryor just had the diagrams for the supercomputer in his head already because he's Brainiac.
Yeah, that made no sense. Well, it would make sense if he was Brainiac, but just some guy who's new to computers just knows how to use a computer perfectly already doesn't
And
make
how to
sense.
make them.
Yeah.
Like, knowing how to use a computer and knowing how to make a supercomputer, very different.
Yeah,
I like when Superman turns coal into a diamond in his hands.
that was fun, I guess.
Just classic Superman stuff.
Yeah. And I do, like, maybe, what's the actor's name? The main guy?
Richard Pryor?
Richard Pryor. Like, maybe Richard Pryor should have served some prison time. Maybe he shouldn't, but I do like that Superman put him on, like, a redemption path with a new job and stuff.
And then he turned it down immediately.
He did, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that didn't work out.
No.
But Superman tried.
Now Richard Pryor's gonna cause some new shenanigans.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends. Lois is back at the planet, and Lana Lang is the new employee. And they immediately They don't get along.
No. And Lois is jealous
Mhm.
because she suddenly wants Clark Kent out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. Suddenly, when Clark Kent's getting some attention from another woman, suddenly he's appealing to Lois.
So Lana Lang, she was a later, not super late, but a later addition to the Superman mythos, because when they were writing Superboy stories originally, they were like, we need Clark to have a love interest in these Superboy stories, but it wouldn't make sense to have Lois. And they introduce Lana Lang, and then when they bring her into the modern stories, Lois and Lana, I think intentionally have a Betty and Veronica thing going on, with Lana being Betty and Lois being Veronica. And they sort of set that up in the end of this one, because they're immediately kind of catty with each other.
I wonder if they'll follow it up.
They don't.
You know that?
After finishing this one, I was wondering, I hope they follow up on that.
That would be fun stuff.
So I looked it up. Lana's not in Superman 4.
No.
She's not
Are
in
you
there.
serious?
Yeah, she got a job at the Planet as Perry's secretary at the end of this one, and then I guess she got fired, and Ricky probably died.
I don't love them not having Lois in it, but with the way they did the story in the third one, if they're just going to take someone out, it should be Lois and keeping Lana.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. Okay. And then that's how the movie ends, is he's going to get lunch with Lana.
Yeah. I wonder if they actually comment on that in 4. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, the next episode.
I kind of doubt they'll mention anything about Lana.
No, they don't like to mention things like that.
No.
They want to not explain a single thing.
Yeah. Because Clark and Lana are like officially dating. He basically proposed to her
Yeah.
at the end of this one.
And they're at least going on a lunch date.
Yeah. He's Ricky's stepdad.
And he's Ricky's stepdad. Yeah, he really inserted himself into her life.
He did. Just to abandon her.
Yeah.
Guess there was still just a hint of super dickery
Yeah.
left around.
And then whenever she calls him up and like, how could you do that? He's like, it was evil Superman, I swear.
This has been Kicking Trees.
Where
Oh,
are
we have
we?
to rank it. Okay, so we both didn't enjoy this movie.
No. What are the lower tiers?
The lower tiers are D and F.
I really hate this movie.
But you know that the next one's going to be worse.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I know that people say that, but I really hated this movie.
So you are wanting to give it a B?
Lower than a B. Wait, we gave the first two C, right? Both of them were C.
So yeah, both of them got a C.
And then there's D and F. This movie was not only one tier worse.
No, it was definitely an F.
Yeah. It's an F.
Yeah. Okay, so this Superman movie gets an F from
Yeah.
Kicking Trees.
Wow.
Hopefully the next one is an A.
Hopefully.
I look forward to A Quest for Peace,
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
where he fights the nuclear man.
See, even that will be a better conflict than what we had in this one.
See, you're assuming they actually fight.
Oh,
I bet they don't fight.
yeah. Okay.
So this has been Kicking Trees, episode 10. I'm Carter,
I'm Xander.
and we'll see you next time in our ranking of all the Superman movies.